talking about the perspectives of 2020. And that is a lot, right? Because we've all been through all kinds of things in this year. And so, what I'm going to talk about is what perspectives mean, right? What does that mean? So it's when you've experienced things in your lifetime, and that is how you see the world. So the world reflects back to you what you've experienced and what you believe. And so when I say that, that means that, think of putting glasses on, that the only thing that you can see with those glasses in the world is what you believe in and what you know to be true because of your experiences. So that's what we call perspectives. And so think about all the things that have gone on this year and how those perspectives are so different for each and every person. And so what are those perspectives or the beliefs being reflected back to you? Think about that. It's like law of attraction, isn't it? Sounds just like it. And so what were you taught as a child? And how did that belief system separate you in some way from someone else or something else? So how did we adapt into judgment with that? And why do you think that we were taught those beliefs? By those people that loved us or cared about us or believed that they were helping us. And I don't know of anyone who hasn't established a belief that has a basis for wanting to be safe in the world. Because someone else had a fear and they did something that comforted them, that became a belief that would take care of them. It doesn't mean it's ours to hold on to, though. And we've learned that as we've gotten older. But in the year of these energies of 2020, we're being stirred. We're being stirred to look even more so at what our perspectives are and what our beliefs are. And so think about the world in a state of transformation. It's like being rubbed the wrong way. We're looking at what are the truths now? What do we believe now? What do we want to do in our life and live? How do we want to make money? Maybe even where do we want to live? And so we're looking for happiness. We're looking for safety. We're looking for what can give us more health, better health, right? And all of this is pushing, that energy is pushing us. The energy's moving really fast this year. And we can all feel it, because if we're holding on to something that isn't fitting us anymore, you can feel how uncomfortable you are. And so with that knowledge that those energies of 2020 are moving us into that state of transformation along with the world, why is it affecting you differently than it may be affecting someone else? So I want to talk about some of the things that we may have experienced in our childhood or in our life that may be coloring those glasses and how we look at it. So think about someone who is been abused. And we can be abused in many ways. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be mental, emotional, whatever it is. That type of abuse can cause us to feel not loved, or that we are not enough, or that our life is not enough. And it can also cause us to feel alone. So I want you to think about these things that I'm talking about today and see if any of it kind of fits you in what you've experienced, so that you have this awareness. So, abandonment, um, that can be in many ways. We may have gotten a divorce. We may have been, um, abandoned by one of our parents. There's so many different ways abandonment happens, and it can be a part of grief where we have lost other people in cross when they have left this physical world. And with that can come anger and resentment sometimes. And it can also cause us to feel like we're a victim in this life, that we're not in control. And we can also feel like we're unlovable, or that we won't give love fully or accept love fully. Think about being a child in a multiple home where we have lots and lots of family members, whether it's our siblings or whether it's just a lot of people living in the same home. Um, we can feel unseen or unheard. And we can also feel like we don't matter. And no matter what we do to accomplish something, it's never enough. So we can have multiple things like honors and so forth, and it's never enough. And we can have a lot of abuse towards others sometimes with that. So we can blame them, right? Because we believe that, they're supposed to be paying attention to us. So a sensitive child or an intuitive child, and I would imagine that most of us fit into that. We have a tendency to be dreamers and perfectionists. And sometimes we don't like to be around negative. We don't like confrontation, but we're also intuitive and we're big readers and so forth. But we also know, because of being empathic, what other people need and what they want. We have a tendency to give without knowing that it's hurting us in some way, if we're pretending to be something that we're not, because we can't hold that. And so these are archetypes of things that I wanted to bring up so that we understand that part of what those glasses may be giving us when we put those on, when we go out into our world. So all of these things provide that reality, that picture, and that reflection, and those perspectives. So think about expectation versus reality. What's the real reality? Well, it's whatever we think it is based on what those expectations are. And so when we take from ourselves love, respect, attention, boundaries, comfort, or joy, we will react based on our previous reality or perspectives, those life experiences. So, not giving ourselves enough time, for an example, in our day where we know that someone else needs us, and we decide that we're going to rush to get to that place that we're going to because we know that they're depending on us, and we may not have had the time to do it. We should have said no, but we didn't because we care about them. So we'll do more. We'll do more for others than we do for ourselves. That is a part of that energy of what we do out of not loving self. And so when we do that, we are expecting another person to know that we did that we did more, so that they will praise us, because we may need that praise. We may need to feel like we're important, and that if we do more, they will see us do that. We'll do that in our work, in our jobs. We will do more. We'll stay later with the expectation that someone else is going to know that we are doing that and appreciate it. And really what we're doing is we want to appreciate ourselves, because that's our own self is where we're coming from. So cutting off that attention can cause us lots of disillusionment in our life, in our jobs, in a lot of things. But what will give us freedom from that? So I wanted to share with you the definition of freedom. It's the having the ability to act or change without constraint. Something is free if it can change easily and it is not constrained in its present state. Sounds a lot like transformation, doesn't it? And so also, what's the definition of individual transformation? A conscious process of creating a new vision of oneself, connected to a personal will. And the process of change begins when the individual is placed at the center of analysis and actions. So, isn't that what we're saying? That when we don't do that, we feel uncomfortable. So, how will you use the energies of 2020? How can you be more compassionate for yourself? How can you be more self-loving? Now, I didn't use self-love in this, but that's where I've been directing your thoughts towards. Loving yourself enough to find what isn't loving in your life and transforming it to love. The I'm not enough to I love myself enough to take the time to get to know all of me. And when I'm ready to move forward in a loving way to help myself to transform whatever it is that's not positive in my life, I will do so for my highest and best good. So I offer this information to you today and I say, go forth. Use the energies of 2020 and help you have your best life ever.